Not really sure what happened there. Yeah. Not really sure what happened there, but nonetheless, welcome back. So we just finished our meditation routine, and now we're getting into our journaling routine. All right, welcome back, everybody. Excuse me for that. Good morning, brother Carl. Good morning, Auntie Luisa. Al, good morning. Okay, so we just finished our journaling routine, and now we're going to get into our reading routine. So I will see you all. Mm-hmm. All right, so we will make this ending here short and sweet. Good morning, Liz. Good morning, Mom. Hello, happy Tuesday, everybody. Okay, so we're getting through inside the mindsets. So we're talking about the growth mindset and the fixed mindset. The fixed mindset being the person who um, believes that, in short, believes that people are born with intelligence, and the level of intelligence that they possess is the level of intelligence that they have. A growth mindset is they believe that um, I would define it as people who are born with intelligence, but then also believe that they can grow into more intelligence, right? And then, so if you take that concept of having and then being able to achieve more, that would be the growth mindset. And then having and just being where you are is the fixed mindset. So apply that to anything. Um, but the author started, Carol Dweck started going through a series of intellectual growth mindset and fixed mindset principles with little kids. But I'm gonna go ahead and pass through that. Um, we all have the power to. We all have the power. So this ideology has been studied, at least for this author, through brain waves. They've actually taken to the clinical study to determine, how accurate their hypothesis is, or how accurate these opinions are. I especially appreciate that because a lot of people always say, "Well, how do you know? Well, what how are you able to say this, or why do you say this? That's not reality, etc." But more and more people have actually taken to clinical study to show the phenomenon of how powerful people really are. So it's no longer me, David McDonald, just telling you how great you are and the true power that you possess, the God that's within you, the mind, the thoughts that you can generate, the reality that you can create. It's no longer me telling you that, just saying it to you, and then the universe edifying me and giving me credibility through your experience. But people actually take this to the lab and they study this stuff, and they do mental studies, they do brain studies, energy studies. Like, this stuff is out there, and it all us saying it, and it I experience it every day, so I know it to be. So what's your priority was the title of this part of the book. If you had to choose, which would it be? Loads of success and validation, or lots of challenge? So loads of success, it's kind of like when you know who you are. Like, I had a conversation with somebody yesterday. She's a brilliant, brilliant, brilliant lady, and she has a little business going, and um, and she does a little bit of real estate. And I was talking to her, and I was kind of telling her, like, some of my ideas and some of the things that I'm doing. And it was just so interesting, to listen to this lady, because she looked at me, she goes, "I really feel like you have so many great ideas and you're focused and you're going to be successful, but you're like all the way out here." And I'm like, okay, like, I'll take that feedback. People don't really give me feedback too often, so I'll take that feedback. And at the same time, I was like, you just don't know how wrong you are. like, the thing is that's why I say you got to be careful with who you tell, your thoughts to, and you tell your dreams to, because some people cannot see what you see the unseeable. So for you to say that, for you to say, tell your story to someone, or tell what you're thinking, or how you plan to use one vehicle to get you to another place. People just, sometimes they just don't get it, and they don't have to get it, because who cares if they get it? They're not going to be there. They may or may not be an incremental part to your success. So frankly, it doesn't matter. And then I was sitting next to a young gal who was, pretty cool, and really smart. And I mentioned something about like this strategy that I use, and kind of how I plan out my future events and things like that, and how I plan to use one vehicle to move another vehicle, etc. And she persisted to try to tell me about how I need to learn the game, and I'm like like it goes so deep with the understanding. Your plan is your plan, and your plan inside and out. At least you should know your plan inside out. If you don't have a plan, you need to figure out a plan. Pause. You don't need to do anything. It is suggested that you have a plan, and then that plan needs to be not complicated, but intricate. Yes, that's okay. Not complex, but clever and effective and accurate. That's okay. But sometimes, even in your 15-minute or 10-minute elevator speech that you may have the floor, um, you know, sometimes that plan, because it's so well rehearsed, you have to go to deeper layers that require deeper levels of conversation. And people on the surface, they're not going to understand that because they can't see beyond what you're saying. You see, at the same time, if people don't understand where you're coming from, that means you're not doing a good job explaining yourself. So in that moment, in both of those instances, right, I'm looking at both of these ladies and I'm saying, okay, you don't understand exactly what I'm saying. Um, because one lady persisted to say, when I got off of Tinder, and I had a family and I got married, my whole perspective changed. And it's like, I don't even know what Tinder is. Like, I know what it is, but I'm not part of that wave. I don't even I never experienced what that is. And I'm dialed. I'm very dialed and I'm focused. But she doesn't know that I do the journey to greatness every single morning. You know what I mean? She doesn't know, what my personal life looks like, and what my significant other situation looks like. She doesn't know who I am. But on the surface, I was feeling like, okay, I need to let this information out to show that no, let me not be misunderstood. But I didn't do that because you know why? I don't care. Like, for the girl who was sitting next to me, super sweet girl, really nice person, really smart, really intelligent, but I didn't really care to dive deeper into our conversation because she obviously had it figured out. Good for you. And then for the other person, I was like, okay, well, I can, we had a pretty decent conversation, but I can go deeper. I can pull this lever to try to convince and make it make sense. But again, at the end of the day, none of that matters. I'm good. So the only time when all of it's going to be like okay, well, how did you do this? Well, this is how I did it. So, and then you rewrite what it means to be successful in your own light. And so my point here is that what's your priority? Do you want loads of success and validation, which would be the short term? The short term comes oftentimes with immediate gratification, right? When is immediate gratification ever really okay? And pause. I should rephrase that. Immediate gratification versus long-term gratification. Fixed mindset is how the author is positioning it, and then a long-term, which is like over time, gratification is a growth mindset. So you're gonna get there. Pause. You already have arrived. And your reality is arriving, or pause, has also arrived, but you have to be able to see the unseeable. But check this out. So then the author gets into this situation where she asks the question, well, she was talking to some people and they say, what if two people are of different mindsets get together, fixed mindset and growth mindset? And listen to this. A growth mindset woman tells about her marriage to a fixed mindset man. I had barely gotten all the rice out of my hair when I began to realize I had made a big mistake. Every time I said something like decisions, he was. Then, instead of talking about the issue I raised, I'd have to spend literally an hour repairing the damage and making him feel good again. Plus, He would then run to the phone and call his mother, who always showered him with the constant adoration he seemed to need. We both were young in a marriage. I just wanted to communicate. That does not sound fun at all. Like at all. So the husband's idea of the relationship, of a successful relationship, total uncritical acceptance, and was not the wife's. And the wife's idea of a successful relationship, confronting problems, was not the husband's. One person's growth was another person's nightmare. Okay, and then we're gonna get into these last 2 points, and we'll be done. So, you have the option to choose which type of mindset that you want. Knowing both mindsets is important when you're choosing your significant other, when you're making decisions, and when you're going through things, in your life, in the type of life that you want to lead. Frankly, I feel the fixed mindset, it can be good up to a certain point, but then I believe that, I would be capped. I like the growth mindset because everything is a lesson. I like to live a more challenging life. So there's the idea of the CEO disease. The CEO disease is pretty much losing sight of innovation. In sociology, oftentimes we call it groupthink, and or in well, I guess in sociology and communication, we oftentimes call it groupthink. And groupthink is kind of it's where you have a bunch of people in a group, and essentially there's a dominant idea or a dominant person, and everybody in the group believes the same thing. Nobody wants to speak up, so everybody just agrees, right, to a different level or another, and so nothing really gets accomplished. CEO disease is very similar, where you have a CEO who she made a reference to Lee Iacocca, who was the CEO of Chrysler, the car Chrysler, the brand, and she mentions how he pushed away all the critics. He pushed away everybody around him, and he only kept people around him who pretty much edified him and made him feel special. And so year after year after year after year, he would put out the same car, the same style of car every single year. It would have small, minor modifications, but it would be the same car every single year. And ultimately, in the end of the day, the Japanese auto brands came in and swept the market. And so the feeling of wanting to feel important, the feeling of wanting to be important and be viewed as a hero and blah, 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 blah. At times, yes, it feels absolutely splendid. We've all felt it. And so that feeling can be kind of addicting. At the same time, going back to some of the other principles that I've talked about many occasions, not focusing on your competition, because oftentimes I feel like that's the time when we want to feel higher, we want to feel better, because we see other people doing well, right? Or creating marketing or doing whatever, and we want to feel special. We want that attention. So forget the game that we're playing, right? We can't forget the journey that we're on, and we can't forget the life that we're choosing to live. Our plan, each individual person's plan is different. So that person's plan may be to be a short-term hero. So what? Okay, cool. I've found that immediate gratification usually isn't as good as long-term gratification. And so the better your plan, the more confident you are when you step on a daily basis. So therefore, there is no need to look to your left or to your right. Stretching. People in growth mindset don't just seek challenge, they thrive on it. The bigger the challenge, the more they stretch. The journey to greatness is a stretch for me. It was a big challenge, especially starting off. And now it's just simply a stretch. And nowhere can it be seen more clearly than the world of sports. You can just watch people stretch and grow. So pulling this back into the life aspect of it all, the story talks about a lady named Mia Hamm She was an overweight. I think no, I don't think she says overweight. I think she said. Did she say that? No, not Mia Hamm. Patricia Miranda. She said she was chubby, unathletic high school girl. And what Miranda would do is, did I say Miranda? Patricia. What Patricia would do is she would always pretty much train all the time. And she would train with people who would, pretty much be better than her. And so her skill naturally started to improve. She always challenged herself. She got beat really bad, and then her mom got sick. And she used the fire from getting beat really bad one time in a match and her mother getting sick as motivation to push her to be better, to challenge herself. Ended up going to earned a spot in the U.S. Olympic wrestling team and came back with a bronze medal. And so they go into what's going to happen next with that. But the biggest thing with all of that is you have to stretch. And I say this all the time, you have to remove things from your life. And it may be hard. You may even take a loss on it. But when you move things out of your life and you're making space for new things to come, and when those new things come, they're going to bring whatever you may have lost on the last round and more, 10 times more a lot of the time, and peace of mind, which is priceless, or a piece of soul or a piece of spirit that is priceless, stuff that you cannot, there's no dollar that you can put on it. So, or dollar amount or value that you can put on it. It's priceless. So the biggest thing is understanding that concept of stretching, being uncomfortable, and trying things that challenge you. If life was easy, life would be easy. Life is actually pretty fun. But anyway, so today we're going to conclude with your best shoot ever. Today's January 9th, and the title of this passage is God's Timetable. Therefore, humble yourselves under the mighty hand of God, that he may exalt you in due time. Well, there you go. It may not feel like anything is moving or anything is happening, but you just got to keep on that path. It will show up. Self-improvement takes time, but sometimes the hardest thing to do is wait. There you go. This is especially true when we're in a hurry and when we want things to happen now, if not sooner. There you go. There we go. But God's plan does not always happen in the way that we would like it or at the time of our own choosing. Our task as believing Christians who trust in the benevolent, we know what we want and we know exactly when we want it, right now. But God knows better. He has created a world that unfolds according to his timetable, not ours. Thank goodness. Will not the Lord's time be better than your time? Yes, it will be. He has the right to interrupt your life. He is Lord. When you accepted him as Lord, you gave him the right to help himself to your life anytime he wants. Building a better you. You don't know precisely what you need or when you need it, but God does. So trust his timing. And that brings so much peace of mind, I think, overall. This is probably one of the best. This goes back to exactly what we were talking about. We are human beings by nature, impatient. And oftentimes, that's what the phenomenon is. We are impatient. And we know what we want, and we know when, and we know exactly when we want it right now. And that's that one simple characteristic can, I feel, can be troublesome, because when you want something right now, you work so hard for it, and then you go for it, rather than saying, okay, if I go for this right now, what's my third, fourth, sixth, seventh, eighth, ninth, 10th step look like if I go for this right now? Or if I wait and say, okay, I'm not gonna do this right now. I'm gonna be patient. I'm gonna wait. We'll work this step out, work that step out, work this step out, and then I'm gonna do it, right? I think it all comes down to just knowing your plan. I think it all comes down to just knowing who you are and understanding that that trait is within us. But we have the ability to control our impatience and to build a stronger tolerance of patience and people. So with that being said, thank you everybody for joining me. Day 70 of 365 with David McDonald, the GOAT, on the Journey to Greatness Season 2. And thank you for your constant love and support as always. AJ, good morning. And I will see you all tomorrow at 5 a.m. Peace.